On today's show, I welcome Alexis Antes. We're going to have a little conversation, make a little music, so stick around. Hey, welcome to Charlie's Open Mic. My name is Charlie Mossbrook. On today's show, I do have Alexis Antes. She was one of the founding members of Odd Girl Out. She's been playing music for years around here. She's fantastic, so do stick around and let's listen to her music.
Hope is lost, despair has found you. Feeling like the walls are closing in all around you. You struggle to find an easier way. You might feel washed out, but don't fade away. That ghost of yourself can come back to life again. You've gotta fight for a better day. You've gotta fight for a better day. Oh. It's so hard to find yourself when others define you. Words cut deep in the ugliness that can blind you. Some people don't care, they just throw them around. But if you take it in, remember, breathe it back out. You don't have the time to waste, Jen. You've gotta fight for a better day. You've gotta fight for a better day. Don't give up on yourself. No, that's not the easy way out. No, you've gotta fight for a better day. You can find a way. It's not over till it's over. And if you reach down inside, you'll see, you'll find the strength to hold on. And when you lie down at night and it seems so hard to believe you can rise again, that's when you've got to keep on fighting. You've gotta fight for a better day. You've gotta fight for a better day. You've gotta fight for a better day. Oh.
On today's show, we have Alexis Antes. She's been playing music publicly about as long as I have. I think we got started together, and she's been involved in one of Cleveland's more popular bands. She's also a bit of a legacy because she comes from a family of people doing this thing, and she is continuing to be a part of that legacy and keeping her music alive. Anyway, do you want to fill us in on anything that I missed? I'm sure I missed a lot because you've been involved
Nope, that
for
pretty
years.
much sums up my entire career.
That sums up everything. Well, with that, why don't we jump straight into? I like to sometimes, if I can, ask people about early open mics, and I'd ask you about early open mics that you did with me because when I first started
Sure.
open mics, you guys were one of my first acts. But I'm going to go a bit further back than that. Was it the Red Horse?
The Red Horse Hollow.
The Red Horse Hollow. So
Yes.
I'm guessing you were a kid
Yeah, I was
going to those open mics.
I was just in kindergarten when my dad opened that place.
Very cool.
Madison and in Lakewood.
Uh-huh.
And Madison and Waterbury. And then it became like some kind of cell phone store, and I don't know what it is now. But anyway, yeah, all the local people would come there and perform. It was fantastic. My dad also is an instrument builder, and so he, his primary thing was mountain dulcimers when I was a kid. So he was building mountain dulcimers in the basement and other woodworking stuff, and upstairs was the stage and the audience and a coffee house, like a legit coffee house, you know. I got up one time, actually I have a photo somewhere on Facebook that it's a picture of me and my dad and my brother all on stage together. But I was, like I said, I was maybe five-ish, 5 or 6 at the oldest when they opened that. And I remember I sang an Anne Murray song, but I don't remember what song it was, but I loved Anne Murray when I was a kid. And then all of the musicians' kids would come, and it would start getting late. So we'd have, you know, there was like a storefront display area, and we would all lay our sleeping bags out there and sleep.
And you were getting to know everybody. I mean, Tim Wallace's and Gusty and
Alex Bev, Al Casaro. I mean, so many people, so many people. Anyone who's still alive is still performing, so it's fantastic, you know.
That is
so
fantastic.
Cool to grow up with all of that. And then enter into the music scene myself and have all of these people that I looked up to as a kid, and they're still performing, and I'm sharing the stage with them at times, and it's been fantastic. It's been so cool.
Now, speaking of you're entering the music scene as yourself, as your own performer, was I Girl Out your big introduction into it, or were you doing anything solo before that?
No, I wasn't really doing anything before that, except my friend from high school, one of my best friends in high school, Jake Brady, he was in Shades of Grey. He and I would play in high school. He's actually the one who really inspired me to do something on my own, like to get up and perform and play guitar and sing and all of that. So we did a little bit of that. Like, I think we did something at the symposium one time, just a few songs or something. But then when I met, I knew Annie DeChant's roommate at the time, and she said, well, you guys should get together and sing, or, you know, try something musical together. And I was like, okay. So we did, and we liked what we heard in our voices together and stuff. And so we decided that we were going to put something together. And actually, my mom, Bobby Antes, was the first one to be in the group with me and Annie. And we just went under like Annie DeChant and Friends or something like that. But we did, you know, one performance, and then my mom said, oh, I'm too old for the, you know, we wanted to do so much more than my mom wanted to do at that time, I think. So my mom basically ditched us. Okay. And Annie said, well, we had another show coming up, and my mom said, well, I'll do it if you don't find anybody, but otherwise, you know, until you find somebody else, I'll stay with you. But Annie said she had knew a woman who was a friend of her college roommate, and they had performed sometime together, like the year before they did a show together, and that she was a great guitarist and songwriter, and let's see if Vicky could do it, you know. So just to fill in for the show that we needed. So of course we all got together, and you know, Annie and Victoria Flegel and myself, and it was like magic. You know, I think we all loved in that moment what we heard and what we were putting out there. And we just crammed for 2 weeks to get all the songs together, and the rest is kind of history. Then we were a legit act there for about 6 years after that.
Very legit. Let me give people at least my perspective on what happened with that group, because it was really magical for you. And I remember I and my band, we were getting started about the same time. We were all working in the same recording studio with Jay Bentoff, and we were doing, you know, bark Barking Spider, Arabica, all those places we were playing together. But what I think really set you guys apart, and I think this is an important lesson for any young performer who might be watching this, is that there was a combination of things. I mean, there was a certain amount of luck, which is always a part of the music
A lot.
business. That right time period in history for the composition of your band to really come out. But you also put the work in. You put a ton of work into it. You're extremely creative. The songs were great. Your performances from my perspective, they were always flawless. You focus. I remember, I forgot whose shoulder I was looking over, but we were at Undercurrents. You remember there was a music conference back in the 90s. Where we would all sort of like South by Southwest kind of thing, or Folk Alliance or something like that. And so we were sitting in this lecture, and I'm looking over one of your shoulders. I don't remember who it was, but you wrote down "sharpen all points." And that just stuck with me. I was like, that's what they're doing, right? They're sharpening every point. And so you were able to capture that moment because you were prepared and you worked really hard. So when the lucky break came, which I think the big lucky break was that you guys had created a recording with Jay and sent it off to WMS, and they put it, they started airing it and put it on a compilation.
North Coast Buzzard Tracks Volume 1 CD. Yeah.
And a lot of people started waking up to what you were doing. So while that lucky break was happening, you were also extremely prepared and had worked really hard to make that meaningful.
We had a really good thing musically, but we reached a plateau, and it just wasn't going anywhere bigger than that. Whether it was differing opinions on what we should do within the band or just missed opportunities, I don't really know, but we just reached a plateau. We weren't really going anywhere further than we maintained, I think, what our popularity here in town at that point. But then, I didn't write In Odd Girl Out at all. I wrote my own vocal parts, but I didn't write any of the material. And so I was looking to start writing, and Annie was looking to do some solo stuff. And I think it was kind of the right timing too. I was sad to see the band break up, but I also was kind of happy because I felt like the new things I wanted to do weren't going to work in that band, if that makes sense. And that's okay, Hopefully we're always growing and evolving and maybe even outgrowing things. The band broke up, and then I did start writing, and I was in the middle of writing a batch of songs. I didn't have anything finished. And I bumped into a local concert promoter that I had known for years at a concert, I think it was an Ani DeFranco concert at something at Lakewood Civic Auditorium. And he asked me what I was doing now. And of course I wanted to sound like I was doing, something. So I said, just writing and doing my own thing now. And he said, well, do you have about 30 to 40 minutes of original music? And I said, yes. And he said, would you want to open for Dan Fogelberg at Nautica? And I said, yes. And that was my very first gig that was under my name solo. Nothing's ever going to top this at that time. But I actually finished writing all of my songs to do that show.
So you've been playing in front of big audiences, in venues the size of Nautica, if not bigger. Being solo, as opposed to having the comfort of, I'll let Annie do it, or I'll let Vicky do it. At this moment, I've got to tune my guitar. I need to step aside and take a drink of water. I need to cough. I need to not pay attention to the audience for a second. Now you're by yourself, and that's a different experience. And you are on Nautica. Do you remember that experience and how you felt?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, it was intense because, just like you said, there's no one else up there. There's no one up there to bounce your energy off of or anything. It's just you and the audience, and which is great. But if you're not used to that, it's an adjustment. And also you're on the whole time, anything you're doing, saying, not doing, not saying, tuning the guitar. In fact, I think it was at that time that I actually was either that concert or the one after that I did an opening spot for Paula Cole, which was also at Nautica. But I was so afraid, what if I break a string or something goes wrong with my guitar? So I went and bought another second guitar just to have on stage, because I was so paranoid, what could go wrong. But it was really cool. And I had a lot of good friends and supporters and people who continued to support me, that were Odd Girl Out fans, and continue to support all of us in our venture, whatever we went into after that. So, because there was a brief period after Odd Girl Out broke up that Victoria and I had a group together called VA Dare, and Virginia Dare is but it was VA, if that's how we wrote it out. Okay. And that was on and off for maybe 9 months or so. And then we did a recording and stuff too. That was really good with Rich Masrick. And, but after that, that kind of fizzled out, and then that was the solo time. So there was a little bit of a transition from Odd Girl Out to just being solo. All of my best friends now I met because it started out as they were a fan of the band, and we became friends, and over the course of all of these years, we're still super close friends,
Well, let's fast forward. Speaking of your music, you just introduced me to a new song. I just listened to it. And I'm guessing that was born out of the situation we're living through right now.
Actually, it wasn't. That song is off of my CD 13, which I released in 2017. This song in particular, Fight for a Better Day, I just always felt was a very important song to me. And it seems, it's one of those songs that is timeless. It's always relevant, I think. And so I just want to keep promoting that tune till everyone, till the world knows this song. The world has heard this song. And I wrote it in a time where I just noticed there was such a heaviness in the world. And this was before the pandemic. So of course things are just piling up after that. But especially on social media, you often can see a lot more than you would know about somebody if you weren't on social media. People sometimes are putting their deepest feelings out there, and I was just reading so much about how heavy everyone's mind was and people's hearts were, and I had lost a couple of friends to suicide, and there was discrimination. All of these things are still relevant today and becoming even more relevant as people are trying to rise up and fight for what's right. And so it's really a song for anyone who's struggling with any kind of issues. It's a song of hope for people who are struggling with anything from addiction to identity, bullying, depression, and I'm proud of it because it means a lot to me.
Hey, if you appreciate this content, please hit that subscription button down below. Please ring the bell to get notifications of upcoming episodes. And as always, you can visit us at charliesopenmic.com and visit our Patreon page to help support the show. Together alone, connected by phones, we gather round tablets and hide in our homes. We've all been ordered to shelter in place. You and me quarantined with the whole human race. And the virus spread quickly through cruise ships and planes. And it's all just a hoax, our leader complained. And the warnings were silenced, the response was delayed. Now he urgently moves to reassign blame. And we've all been ordered to shelter in place. You and me quarantined with the whole human race. And we search for new leaders in an unlikely phase. You and me quarantine with the whole human race. And the president boasts of low gasoline prices, but it's not like we're burning much fuel. And he stands there before us, gaslighting the crisis. Can we all wash our hands of this fool? We've all been ordered to shelter in place. You and me quarantine with the whole human race. And we search for new leaders in an unlikely phase. You and me quarantine with the whole human race. And the people emerged a little too soon. The churches were packed, exhausted by Zoom. Some took to the streets, they were tear-gassed by goons, with the dead on the rise and their lives left in ruins. Now uncertainty haunts us in this darkest hour. The economy is trashed, though we boast of its power. And I struggle to find light, as it seems we are doomed. When a small purple flower emerges in bloom. We've all been ordered to shelter in place. You and me quarantine with the whole human race. We search for new leaders in an unlikely phase. You and me quarantine with the whole human race. You and me quarantined with the whole human race. Well, thank you for watching Charlie's Open Mic today, and thank you to Alexis Antes for joining us and sharing a little music and conversation. As always, hit that subscription button down below. Please ring the bell for notifications. Always comment and like if you like what you're seeing on the show. And you can visit us at charliesopenmic.com, where you can find our Patreon link and help support the show. We'll see you next week. Thank you.